Ava Grant's honeymoon began with champagne and sunsets, until her husband vanished midair. The island called it an accident. The cops called her a killer. But Ava knew the truth. Someone stole him. Would you trust the charming tour guide? Or the cop digging your grave? She fought corrupt cops, dodged burial pits, and uncovered a surgeon's twisted secret. Her husband's bones were worth millions. But the final twist? Stick around. This honeymoon's about to burn. Thanks for riding the edge, thrill seekers. This is your fight now. Let's burn the truth alive. Ava had the mafia in her blood. Raised by her father to be strong, ruthless, and self-reliant, she learned early that trust was a weakness and tears solved nothing. One night, a noise on the balcony jolted her awake. She reached for the knife she always kept beside her bed and crept toward the living room. Her heartbeat steady, her mind sharp. The intruders were after money. One of them, a traitor who had double-crossed his own crew, had no idea that betrayal always came at a cost. As one thief fell, Ava grabbed his gun. With a cold, calculated pull of the trigger, she ended him. Then, without hesitation, she turned the weapon on the man counting stolen cash, ensuring he never touched another dollar again. 12 years later, Ava walked down the aisle, dressed in white, a vision of elegance and strength. Her husband, Derek Grant, came from a powerful family, but none of that mattered to him. Against his father's wishes, he loved Ava without conditions, even signing over all his assets to her in case anything ever happened to him. Their love was a modern fairy tale, Cinderella with a dangerous past. For their honeymoon, Derek took Ava to a secluded island, a paradise once home to his grandmother. They arrived by private jet, settling into a stunning villa with ocean views that stretched endlessly. It was the perfect getaway, until one evening at a seaside restaurant changed everything. While Derek stepped away, a local named Manny approached Ava with a charming smile and a tempting offer, an exclusive tour package promising an unforgettable experience. Intrigued, Ava agreed, setting the stage for an unexpected adventure. That night, at Ava's request, they visited a nightclub. The music was intoxicating, the atmosphere electric. She and Derek danced freely, until she caught the eye of Big Biz, a notorious gambling boss. Surrounded by women, he should have been content, but Ava's beauty made him greedy. When he shoved Derek aside, intending to claim her as his own, Ava refused. Then he struck Derek. Rage flared in her veins. Ava didn't hesitate. With swift, deadly precision, she attacked. Her fists landed with practiced force, kicks sending men staggering. A chokehold left one gasping for air. Big Biz and his men, so used to being feared, now lay battered at her feet. The tension was thick, the nightclub silent. Sensing the brewing storm, Manny quickly intervened, pulling them away before the night turned bloodier. Ava had wanted a honeymoon to remember. She got exactly that. The next day, Manny promised Ava and Derek a healing adventure, a ziplining trip through the island's lush forest. They started with an easy 100-meter run, which boosted Derek's excitement for the challenging 1-kilometer line. Ava, though nervous because of her fear of heights, hesitated to join at first. Still eager, Derek took on the longer zip line. But midway, about 500 meters up, the safety line suddenly snapped. In a heart-stopping moment, Derek clung desperately to the cable before falling a deadly 100 meters to the ground. Manny zipped in to help, but his rescue skills fell short. Ava's heart pounded as she fought through the panic. Determined, she raced down the mountain in the direction of his fall, urgently instructing Manny to call an ambulance. Although the ambulance arrived quickly, confusing insurance policies and a language barrier meant the medical staff wouldn't let her ride along. With no time to spare, Ava allowed the ambulance to leave first and sped off in Manny's car, determined to follow close behind. Her high-speed drive ended in a crash, but, thankfully, the car's owner understood her dire situation and even gave her a ride to the hospital. There, the nightmare took an even darker turn. When Ava asked a nurse for Derek's room number, she was shocked to hear that no one by the name of Derek Grant was there. Frantically, she searched every ward and medical facility on the island, but Derek was nowhere to be found. Desperation set in, and Ava burst into tears, realizing that she had lost her husband when he needed her the most. At the police station, the language barrier continued to work against her, and she was asked to file a missing person report. While waiting for answers, she contacted Derek's family. His parents and sister soon arrived, and they met Chief Ramon Garza, the only officer who spoke English. However, the missing person process was tangled in complicated bureaucracy. Determined to prove her story, Ava showed them a photo of the tour guide, Jojo, as evidence. They visited the rental location from the trip, only to find out that Manny wasn't the owner and that the facility was closed on Mondays. Then, in a twist, Ava confronted Jojo, but he denied even knowing her. To make matters worse, footage of Ava's violent outburst at the nightclub the previous night surfaced, casting doubt on her credibility. Despite printing and distributing missing person flyers everywhere, Derek Grant's whereabouts remained a mystery. Ava's life took another wild turn when her father-in-law accused her of being behind Derek's disappearance, a baseless claim that ignited a furious argument. Within hours, her husband's entire family abandoned the island, convinced that no matter how long Derek stayed, he was lost for good. After days of fruitless searching, Ava decided to take matters into her own hands. In a desperate bid for answers, she captured tour guide Jojo and forced him to hang from a zipline in the middle of the mountain, demanding to know why he had lied. But the footage backfired. Chief Ramon Garza dismissed it as nothing more than a threat, labeling Ava a dangerous, violent woman destined for deportation. Still undeterred, Ava found herself handcuffed and escorted back to the mainland by Officer Santos. That's when she hatched a risky plan. Asking to use the bathroom, she exploited Santos' discomfort with her tied-up state. As he hesitated to remove her cuffs, Ava played her beauty card, and while Santos was off guard, she kicked him unconscious, freed herself, and made a dramatic leap into the sea. By the time anyone could react, she had swum to safety. Dry and determined, Ava strolled into a hotel like a true VIP. After a quick shower and a change of clothes, she headed back to the bar in search of clues. There, she encountered Manny and trailed him into the men's restroom. Without warning, she yanked his hair and dunked him into the toilet, demanding the truth about Derek. Under pressure, and facing the threat of suffocation, Manny admitted that he had called the ambulance, though Derek was taken in a different car. He also revealed that he and Jojo had been running tour gigs for profit. Whether from guilt or the shock of his toilet plunge, Manny suddenly agreed to help her and even offered her a place to rest for the night. The next morning, Ava and Manny tracked down the paramedics who had transported Derek. There, they discovered a mysterious Fighting Farm symbol that matched a tattoo on their bodies, leading them straight to the Fighting Farm. Manny volunteered to sneak inside and review surveillance videos. Finally, Ava spotted someone leaving the building. Without hesitation, she abandoned Manny and raced after him. Her pursuit led her to a narrow alley, the last known location of a man named Timo. Sensing her presence, Timo tried to ambush her, but Ava was relentless. She overpowered and brutally tortured him until he confessed that his partner, Omar, had been with him that night. No sooner had Timo revealed the name than Omar, armed for protection, appeared. In a swift, merciless move, Ava disarmed and killed him on the spot. After everything went down, Chief Ramon Garza zeroed in on Ava, convinced she had killed her husband and 2 paramedics to cover up evidence. Without giving her a chance to explain, he ordered her escorted to what she thought was the police headquarters, but it turned out to be a remote mountain hideout. When 2 officers were seen digging in front of her, Ava immediately realized they were setting her up. Determined not to go down without a fight, Ava forced herself to break free, even if it meant painfully dislocating her joints to remove the handcuffs. Her captors planned to bury her alive on orders from above, but Ava wasn't having any of that. In a daring midnight counterattack, she took down both officers. While Chief Garza slept, he received a startling call from Ava. She was in his daughter's room. Caught off guard by the sight of Ava calmly sitting next to his little girl, the chief slowly lowered his gun and began confessing. He admitted that Dr. Abelard Garza had forced him into a cover-up after a negligent surgery led to Derek Grant's death, an act meant to save his own career. Facing the truth, Ava gave him a grim ultimatum. Either you die in silence with a knife or loudly with a gun. Realizing he had no escape, Chief Garza chose to slip away into the bathroom to end his life quietly, leaving behind a tender farewell kiss on his daughter's forehead so she would never have to witness his final agony. Ava, who had never shed a tear before, broke down when she learned that Derek was truly gone. He was the one who showed her the warmth of life. With her heart shattered, Ava vowed to return to the violent path, determined to bring down everyone involved in her husband's death. Ava's hunt began with the nurse, the very one who had hidden that her husband was admitted to the hospital. One brisk morning, Ava waited by the hospital gate and followed the nurse's car. When the nurse stepped out, Ava struck from behind. Next, she set her sights on Dr. Abelard. With a plastic bag pressed over his head until he gasped for air, Ava forced him to confess. In a trembling admission, he revealed that Derek Grant was alive, caught on camera with a group of thugs. Worse still, Dr. Abelard spilled that Derek had been kidnapped by a man named Silvio Lugo, who needed a healthy, wealthy donor for a bone marrow transplant. According to him, the whole tale of Derek's death was a ruse he'd staged after pocketing a large sum from Lugo, a lie that had even driven Chief Ramon Garza to his end. Overwhelmed by guilt, Dr. Abelard vowed to help Ava rescue Derek. Meanwhile, Silvio Lugo, a man who liked to assert his power and exploit any excuse to get close to pretty women, used a security check as a pretext to touch Ava. He allowed her into the operating room where, in a cruel twist, he ordered Dr. Abelard to withhold anesthesia during the bone marrow extraction. The sight of Derek in pain thrilled him, but Ava wasn't caught off guard. She had already slipped an extra dose of anesthesia into the 4th bag. As Lugo began to faint, Ava revealed her true identity, swiftly taking out his henchmen and rescuing Derek. Their escape, however, was far from over. Silvio Lugo's men chased them relentlessly, but Ava's speed and sharp shooting kept the threat at bay, even as she fought through a severe leg injury. Throughout the ordeal, Derek stayed silent in pain, knowing that only by escaping this hellish island could they survive. With Manny's help, they managed to break free from Lugo's pursuit. But danger lurked close. Lugo's subordinates soon traced them to Manny's village and raided his house. Not ones to wait for death, Manny whisked them off to a safer hideout, protecting both Ava, Derek, and his own family. In their temporary refuge, even as they casually watched TV, everyone seemed to shake their heads when asked about Ava and Derek's whereabouts. Using guerrilla tactics, the couple ambushed any enemy who dared come close. When Lugo discovered his henchmen were dwindling by the minute, his rage soared. Finally, he tracked down Ava. Despite his brute strength, his fighting skills were no match for hers. After a brutal fight, Ava had him beaten to a pulp, a knife pressed to his throat. Just then, the police found Derek. They tried to convince Ava to stop her killing spree, but corruption had deeply rooted itself in their ranks. Releasing Lugo would mean certain death for both of them. Out of nowhere, Big Biz appeared, grabbed Lugo by the neck, and declared that his actions were putting the island's tourism and its economy at risk. Big Biz even offered to pay double to the police, insisting that Lugo was merely sleeping. With that final twist, Ava and Derek finally secured a fragile safety. With Manny's support, they rented a boat and headed back to the mainland after a stormy, harrowing honeymoon. Manny's parting words hinted that he'd be ready to welcome them back to the island. Whether they wanted to return was still anyone's guess. That's a wrap, fam. If you enjoyed the ride, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more epic content. Catch you in the next video. Peace out.